live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today we go over NFL Week 7 picks. We go over college football Week 8. We've got GUA-RAN-TEEs, and we got survivor picks because Green Bay won last week. Now we have another. So I'm going to start off today's show with... And I got the NFL betting lines on here. Plus, I have some trade deadline stuff I've been hearing lately. And I kind of want to start in the NFL. And I think that's what I'm going to do. Because this is usually the one where that takes the longest. But let's start off with tonight's game. The Steelers and the Bengals. Steelers are 5.5-point favorites in Cincinnati. Over and under is at 44.5. I don't love the total in this game. I'm not going to touch that. I don't even like the spread anyway. So this is one I can guarantee I'm not betting on, okay? I think Pittsburgh wins, but here's the question I want to know. Can this Steelers offense get to 27? Because ideally that's what you should get to beat the Bengals. Can they get to that total? Because if they can get there, they'll beat the Bengals. They're offensively challenged. Joe Flacco is old. They haven't been able to run the ball well. Their defense has not played well. Yes, Chase and Higgins are good receivers, but if the Steelers can get to 27 on offense, they'll be fine. Because I don't think their defense is going to have any issues with Flacco, and the Bengals' offensive line atrocious. Their defense is not really good. So I've got Pittsburgh 24-13 tonight. I'm not really going to spend much time on this because the Bengals, I feel like, are just a sinking ship waiting to happen. And the Steelers, this is a big opportunity to go up. I want to say Bengals are 2-4. They're 4-1. So this is an opportunity to go up 3 games on them. Basically 4 if you beat the Bengals with half a season left, roughly. This is a big game for the Steelers to kind of open up this division because the rest of the North is not looking great. So 24-13 Steelers over the Bengals. Now, let's go to Rams and the Jaguars. Rams are 3-point favorites in London. Over and under is listed at 44.5. Now, I have no clue if Puka Nacua is playing at this moment. Right now, I would say he's trending towards not playing. Now, I have Davante Adams in fantasy. I have had a horrible fantasy football season for those of you that care. 1-5. I'm awful. Okay, but mind you, I'm not getting blown out every game. I've lost 3 games by single-digit points. And I'm not usually this bad ever. Okay, I'm usually consistently in the top 3 to 4 standings-wise. So I know that it's early, but not really early when you look at a 14-game season. Davante Adams, I need you to fucking go off, please. Like, really bad. Because you stunk it up against the Ravens last week. It pissed me off. Jaguars are a good defense. But can Sean McVay get you going early in this game? Hopefully throughout the game, please. If Puka don't play, which is leaning like he's not going to play, there's no reason he should play because you got the bye after. So, but the Jags are playing good defense. They are. They can take the ball away, which is huge. Stafford's been around the block though before. I like the Rams to win. Just because I trust Sean McVay right now. I'm not saying what Jacksonville hasn't done is impressive. It absolutely is. They just lost to a good Seattle team. And honestly, the Rams are still a contending team in the NFC. They are. They didn't look great against Baltimore, granted. Well, I expect them to kind of get back to their old ways. I got 27-23 Rams over the Jags. Weird shit happens in London. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. It just happens, right? So I've got 27-23 Rams over the Jaguars, and that's what I have for that game. And I think the Rams continue to prove that they are a contender in the NFC, and don't rule them out. Jaguars, though, they'll be fine. It wouldn't shock me if they win, but I like to take a team that, I've had confidence in all year, and I'm trusting them. Patriots travel to Tennessee to take on the Titans. Now, Brian Callahan was fired, I want to say, a couple of hours after our show on Monday happened. And now Mike McCoy's the interim coach. Vrabel goes back to Tennessee. New England's 7-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 41.5. Now, I saw the NFL Network panel predictions of one of them had the exact score from, I want to make sure I have the year right, 16 years ago. 59-0 New England. And that was back in the snowstorm in 2009 when Brady had like 5 touchdown passes in a quarter. My first year watching football, by the way. In those Boston Patriot uniforms and the Titans wearing the Houston Oilers jerseys. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I'll be real. It's not going to be that again. But imagine if that was deja vu, right? I feel like that the Titans, this is a blowout game waiting to happen. I feel like New England should dominate them, in all honesty. It should be a 34-6 type of game. And I expect it to be. But when I saw that we played a little slow out of the gate in New Orleans, maybe that blowout margin is not the fairest score prediction that I would give. But when I look at Tennessee, they are looking at Arthur Smith, and they're looking at Matt Nagy. You really want them building Cam Ward? No. I mean, they're a dumpster fire waiting to happen. I think New England has a sense of confidence. They've won 3 straight, looking to win 4. And who would have known New England would be first place in the AFC East? Who would have guessed that? Over the Bills. I didn't expect Atlanta to win, but I'll take it. So the first place New England Patriots will stay in first place in the AFC East. 34-6, New England beats the Titans. Eagles travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings. Eagles are 1.5-point favorites over the Vikings. Over and under is listed at 43.5. Based on what I've seen from the Eagles through 6 weeks, this is a game they should win. Carson Wentz is starting. The Vikings are not very good against the run. And honestly, the Vikings look okay. And usually when the Vikings and Eagles have played recently, it's been in Philly and it's been close, and the Eagles usually have their way with them, right? But this game's in Minnesota now. And the Eagles now 10 days to figure out what their offense is going to be for the remainder of this year. And I hope they spent those days trying to get this solved. Because if they haven't, the panic button needs to be pressed. Everybody jokes with me and they say, Rich, you don't take upsets. Well, I have my card from last week over there. And I could go pull it up now. I don't want to. Because I don't need to worry about last week. I picked the games from last week. And honestly, I'm going to go with the upset here. Because I don't like the way the Eagles have looked. Jalen Carter should be back. For somehow, some way, I think the Vikings will let Wentz throw with Jefferson and Addison. And I think that the Vikings have a good enough team that I think can score on the Eagles. And I think their defense, Brian Flores, known as an aggressive blitzing style coach, I think is going to get to Jalen Hurts. They're going to have to make him throw the ball well, the Eagles haven't thrown the ball really the greatest. They've had glimpses of, okay, they can throw the ball downfield. But I'm sure Brian Flores is like, okay, A.J. Brown wants the ball. Well, so does Devontae Smith. Okay, well, we're going to have to make Jalen Hurts throw the football and beat us that way. And I think the Vikings can get some takeaways on this Eagles team. And I think you're going to see A.J. Brown and Devontae be a little frustrated because, honestly, the Eagles don't know what they are on offense. And I'm banking on what I've seen the last 2 weeks. I think their defense has looked like teams have found something on that Fangio defense. And I think O'Connell's got something cooked up for this week. And I think the Vikes pull the upset. Give me the 1.5. I would even take the money line on this. I'm going with the Vikings to beat the Eagles 30-26. I think that the Eagles have some problems that need to be addressed. I think if you don't win this week, the sky is falling, as the old Chicken Little saying goes. And the Vikings, they're not a bad team. They just get injury plagued, or they really have a glaring weakness that shows. And I think injuries have gotten the best of them the last couple of years, but the Vikes take down the Eagles and they pull off the upset. Home dog wins. Panthers travel to MetLife to take on the Jets. Panthers are 1.5-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 42.5. You would think that based on the way I've viewed the Jets, it's a blowout. But what have I said to you guys last week? Weird shit happens in London, right? Okay. The week before that, I picked the Jets to win. I was dead wrong. There's no justifiable reason to pick the Jets to win. This should be a game that hopefully they do get a win. For them, I'm saying. In the Jets' perspective. Because if you can't beat Carolina, those Breece Hall trade rumors are starting to heat up. And I'm hearing teams right now that I'll get into a little bit because I want to save a little segment for that. Carolina will win 24-16. I think Bryce Young, Dave Canales, they've got a good thing going right now on offense. I'm very curious to see when Chuba Hubbard comes back into the mix for that running game, how that's going to look, because if they're going to split carries, is that good for fantasy managers? Now, you're probably asking, Rich, why did you bring that up specifically? Well, because I'm 1-5, I'm getting offers for some of my receivers. I had a guy offer me Kenneth Walker for Jameson Williams yesterday, and I asked it on X if that was a good trade, and somebody said, bad for bad, to put it, paraphrasing it. Yeah. I was like, no. And if Seattle is splitting backs, which we'll get to later, I don't like that. Now, Rico Dowdle's been going crazy. I think he'll probably get the bulk of the carries this week, so that way they can ease Hubbard back in. But I'm very curious to see how they implement that 1-2 punch down the stretch, because that's going to be interesting if Carolina can build a running game and those two guys play a big role. But they beat the Jets 24-16. They go to now, I would say, 3 straight wins, get above 500. Panthers trending up. They go to 4-3. Raiders travel to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. Chiefs are 11.5-point favorites. Over and unders at 45.5. Bandwagons, you beat the Giants, you beat the Ravens, and then you beat your first good team with the Lions, because the Lions' injuries are ramping up now in Week 6, just like last season. Now, at the end of the day, their defense has got problems with the injuries. This is a game I expect you guys to win, and I think you will win with ease. 37-7, Chiefs over the Raiders. Watch Geno unravel. He'll throw picks in this game. Genty won't get the ground game going. Bowers is still banged up. They're trying to trade Jacoby Myers behind the scenes. Raiders get blown out. 37-7 Chiefs. I'm leaving it there. Saints travel to Chicago to take on the Bears, where the Bears are 4.5-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 46.5. Are you kicking yourself, Rich, for picking the Commanders to beat the Bears again? No, I'm not. Because if people watch that game closely, a botched handoff was the difference between the Commanders winning and the Bears losing. And it was one hand off in the rain they had to execute. Commanders couldn't do it. The Bears have won 3 straight. They're playing, good football. They're getting the running game going, right? Now, Alvin Kamara, you are the subject of some trade talks. And I picked you up in fantasy this week. I'm hoping that I've got my second running back solved because I'm trying to make a run. I've got people shit-talking me. I don't need this right now. Okay? I need to go on a run in fantasy. Tired of losing, man. Kellen Moore, the way to beat the Bears, I think, you're going to have to run the ball because it's going to be windy. Can you get your running game going? And the Saints got some offensive linemen now that are not bad. Trevor Penning, Kelvin Banks. They've got some players on the O-line that are not bad. But I still think the Bears win. Ben Johnson and company have found their mojo. They're running the ball with DeAndre Swift and Rome Odunze. I know that you could have had a breakout game last week. Boy, did I need it. I need it this week. Please don't come up small again, because if not, well then, I might put Rome Odunze up for trade because I do have some receivers I could package. But nobody wants to trade with me in fantasy. But that's okay. My team's not garbage, by the way. You guys saw it week 1. But we did trade for Alvin Kamara. Had to give up one of my reserve running backs and one of my defenses I really like coming up. That's okay. Anyway, back to the game at hand. I got the Bears 26-20. It's going to be windy. Ben Johnson's sticking with the running game, I feel like. Caleb Williams is going to have to make some throws, which he did against Washington. Odunze, please just do solid. But I think the Saints will hang around a little bit. Bears win 26-20. In the wind, 4 straight wins. They go to 4-2. Dolphins travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns, where the Browns are 2.5-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 37.5. I kind of want to take the over, but that Cleveland defense scares me. And Miami is a soft football team. And boy, Mike McDaniel, you might be fired midseason if you don't beat the Browns. It's bad. I mean, losing to the Chargers without Omari and Hampton is one thing. Losing to the Panthers 2 weeks ago in Carolina is another one. You had the lead and you blew it. You lose to Cleveland, you might be done, dude. And he's not a leader of men. There's a fire sale probably going on in Miami right now. I'm hearing Jalen Phillips, the edge rusher. Bradley Chubb, another edge rusher. Jalen Waddle. Just not even an hour ago, I heard that the Seahawks would trade Tariq Woolen if they can get Devon Achane, which to me, I don't know how in the world that makes sense. Okay? For the Seahawks trading for Achane when you have Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, and Miami would have who at running back now? Ollie Gordon, who's a rookie. I don't know if they would do that, but Miami, it's fire sale going on over there. Dumpster fire waiting to happen. I like the Browns to win 23-17 on the Dolphins. I think that Dylan Gabriel gets his first win in the NFL as a starter. The Browns, Harold Fannin. I heard you've been doing good for those that bet on the yards. If Njoku's out, I need you to have a game for me in fantasy. My season is on life support. Just trying to create I'm trying to think of the word. Figure of expression for my 1-5 fantasy football team. I have to win. I can't lose, guys. And I need guys to step the fuck up and produce numbers. And Fannin's trending upward. Can you produce, please? Pretty please with sugar on top, okay? Browns win 23-17 on the Dolphins. Mike McDaniel is trending towards getting fired. That's what I think. Giants travel to Mile High to take on the Broncos, where the Broncos are 7-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 39.5 points. I like Denver, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did not like what I saw against the Jets. I did not. They looked very sluggish. I did say, though, weird things happen in London. I expect the Giants to not give Bo Nix problems because they have a good front four. But that back end, if Sean Payton can expose that secondary, which they have receivers in Denver, they're not household names. They got ballers. Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims, who I loved at Oklahoma when he came out of the draft. Deep ball threat. I like Denver because I think eventually this defense will rattle Jackson Dart. He hasn't done good on the road. It was the Saints he lost to last time. Denver is a whole different animal defensively. Scatterboo, if Denver clamps the run, they will make Jackson Dart's life miserable. I like Denver to win 26-16 on the Giants. And I think that Jackson Dart, it's going to be a rough one, young man. But it won't be because of you. Trust me, it's just Denver's a better football team. Broncos move to 5-2 to take on, to beat the Giants. And I'll hint something later. This was a game I was debating about, and I still might be debating about for Survivor. Colts travel to the Chargers to take on LA. So, the Chargers are 1.5-point favorites against the Colts. Over and under is listed at 48.5. I would bet the over in this game. Small play, I'd lean the over because I think both of these teams will score. It's in that SoFi Stadium, so it's warm weather. I always thought it was a dome, but sometimes they have that roof open too. Colts are playing really good football. They're used to a dome. Jonathan Taylor has ran wild the last couple of weeks. Chargers have not stopped the run, whether it's Devon Achane, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, and the Giants. Jackson Dart was running like crazy. I don't know how the Chargers are going to stop Jonathan Taylor because this dude right now, you could add it to Rich Sale's first-team All-Pros right now through the season. And I've given you probably a good 3 to 4 maybe. And you have to go back on Lounge Times recently to see who I've given. I know I gave Marcus Jones. Devin Lloyd was 1. Jonathan Taylor was probably 3. Puka Nacua was 4. Mind you, I didn't even get to tight end or offensive line yet. I didn't even pick the quarterback yet. Okay? I've got 4 first-team All-Pro candidates right now. If they stay the way they're playing right now, will be guaranteed first-team All-Pros if they stay on the pace that they're at. Jonathan Taylor is the 4th member to the Rich Sale All-Pro NFL team. And no, it's not an actual thing. I like to make it up because, A, you guys go to me sometimes as an NFL expert, even though I'm not the craziest expert. I just tell you what my eyes tell me. I tell you what I hear. I tell you what notes I see and hear. He runs wild on the Chargers. They have not stopped the run well. I like the Colts to win 31-24. Give me the 1.5, and I would take them on the money line. Because I don't know how the Chargers are going to stop them. They're going to score, but if they can't stop the run, Shane Steichen's going to know it. The question is, Daniel Jones, can you take care of the ball against Jesse Minter's defense? Well, the Chargers defense has been playing like hot garbage lately. Colts win 31-24. The Packers take on the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. 6.5-point favorites. Over and unders listed at 45.5. So, I have a question for this game before I even start to get into my analysis. I need to know this from one of my friends who I'm looking forward to having on Lounge Time very shortly. Not in the intermediate future, but very soon. I have to talk to him. Is the Cardinals fan out of hibernation yet that watches this show? And trust me, it's one of my friend's brothers, okay? Even though that dude is the most fakest Cardinals fan on the block, okay? Trust me, guys, this guy posts on his Instagram stories on the Cardinals, bro. He's worn a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey, and they've lost every game since. And this dude goes into hibernation when they lose, and I don't hear from him until Friday when he peeps his head out like it's Groundhog Day and go, did everybody forget the Cardinals lost? Okay, I can come out of hibernation. It's Groundhog Day. Appreciate you watching the show, buddy. Greatly appreciate it, but no. Get out of hibernation, okay? One of my absolute locks of the weekend, whether Kyler Murray plays or not, Vegas is looking like saying Kyler Murray's not playing. Jonathan Gannon, I'm not saying he's lost the team, but if they get blown out, it's going to look awfully bad. And the Cardinals, honestly, let's be real. Kyler Murray, I said this was a big year for him. You have one playoff appearance in 7 years, bro, and you've been the first pick. You're supposed to be franchise changing when you get drafted first overall in most cases. And you've got one playoff appearance, and you looked awful in that lone playoff game. And this season, you have no excuses. You've kind of played all right this season. Now, Jacoby Brissett's a good backup, but it'll only take you so far. Just ask New England fans last year before Drake May came in. And how's Drake May done in New England? Well, pretty good for yours truly. Green Bay, though, they have to be aggressive and assertive as far as dictating to the Cardinals, we are the better team. We need to get back to the team that we were the first 2 weeks of the season. No BS. Get back to the way you're playing. Good get-right game. And I got the Green Bay Packers beating the Arizona Cardinals 30-13. Guarantee the Packers beat the Cardinals. That is number one. That is one of my absolute favorite picks, winners of the weekend. Now, Washington Commanders travel to Dallas AT&T Stadium to take on the Dallas Cowboys. 2.5-point favorites, over and unders listed at 54.5. Now, one of my other favorite plays of the weekend. And see, the real smart people know who has a shit defense and who you love betting with. And you know what, man? I'm not going to lie. I did have the Cowboys-Bears over that I liked. For those that are smart, you kind of bet it a little lower to try to, not get beat so bad. But if you bet it straight, it's heartbreaking a lot, right? But Dallas games usually go over. Now, Washington's coming off a short week. Division rival. Should have won last week, if I'm being honest. Dallas, though, lost a bad one to Carolina. Dallas is like I don't want to say the thermometer of a place that goes hot one day and cold the other. That's a horrible expression. I'm trying to figure out what that is. And I don't have the best analogy for this. But the Cowboys are like a seesaw. They can look pretty good and competitive one week, look pretty bad, but yet competitive and win. And then they look awful with injuries. And then they tie against Green Bay. Oh, we're not so bad. And then they beat the Jets, and you're like, okay, they're good. And then they lose to Carolina, and you go, maybe we're not. But one thing is consistent. That Cowboys defense is worse than the smell of horse shit, bro. It's bad. And Jerry Jones, it's a miracle he hasn't fired Matt Eberflus yet. It's awful. Jaden Daniels, I'm expecting you to go crazy. Dak Prescott, I think, will throw for yards too against Washington. I do. I love the Commanders in this game. I do. I think this will go over. I think that both offenses will have a big game, but I trust Jaden Daniels to win this game more than I do Dak Prescott. And the Cowboys defense continues to be ass. And yes, this is not just for something to troll my cousin, because my cousin's been talking shit in fantasy lately. And he's acting like he's got the best team when honestly, he's gotten a little lucky last week, because I don't know what they were doing to Rome Odunze. If he caught one pass in the fourth quarter, and I watched that game a little bit in the fourth, you would have lost. So, you know what? I'm going to have a little bit of fun, because he would pick on me when I was down. He's been avoiding lounge time for the last 2 years, and it's time for me to have a little fun. Now, Washington Commanders will beat the Cowboys 30-27, and I love the over in this game. So, guarantee the over 54.5, although if you want to bet it lower, I don't blame you. And you know what? I'm trying to get my buddy Vin, Commanders fan, on lounge time. Vinny, I'm guaranteeing the Commanders to beat the Dallas Cowboys. Guarantee! That's two, baby. That's two. It's two guarantees for the 4 o'clock games. Falcons travel to Levi Stadium to take on the 49ers. The Niners are 2.5-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 47.5. There's one under in this game I love this weekend. It's this one. Probably two, actually. This is one of them. Falcons come off a big Monday night win against the Bills. Niners lost a tough one in Tampa. Purdy, Mac Jones, I don't know who's starting. They're saying it's Purdy. I am trying to figure out all these reports because A, I've got Kendrick Bourne on my fantasy bench, and I'm trying to figure out, is he playing or is he not? Bijan had a legacy game. Granted, I don't know if he's going to be able to duplicate that again, although Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are out, so who knows? I could see a scenario Atlanta winning on the road. I think it's a lot to ask for a team. Short week, traveling from Atlanta off a big Monday night win to San Francisco, across the country. I like the Niners, but I like the under 47.5. I don't think both teams are going to score a lot. Niners are banged up with injuries. I've said it. Kittle might be back. CMC is going to be a big role. It's a duel of the running backs. Bijan and Christian McCaffrey. Under 47.5, Falcons, Niners. And I like the Niners to win on a field goal, 20-17, because I think their defense, even though without Fred Warner, I'm a little concerned, I still think Michael Penix has a little bit more to prove to me against a good defense. If he does what he did to Buffalo against the Niners, I think he's trending upward. But I've got 20-17 Niners over the Falcons. They get back on track. They go to 5-2. With or without Mac Jones or Brock Purdy in this game. Bucs travel to Detroit to take on the Lions, where the Lions are 5.5-point favorites. Over and unders listed at 52.5. Take the over, fellas. Okay? I expect both teams to score. I've been told Mike Evans is making his return this week, most likely. And the Lions, bad loss. Jared Goff, I know he hasn't had the best numbers against Todd Bowles' defense, but I feel like, again, it's one of those games where, okay, you got beat on the road in Kansas City because your defense sucked. Now you're back in the Dome. Gibbs, Montgomery, they're probably going to try to run. And the Niners were able to get some runs on Tampa last week, and I think the Lions will too. But Goff, can you make some plays? And I got Jameson Williams starting at flex. I don't need no hot and cold games, J-Bo. You got to fucking produce now. And he's had numbers that have not gone well. Now, granted, I could go Matthew Golden or Kendrick Bourne. That's a TBD decision for me to make in fantasy numbers. But, J-Bo, can you please put up a consistent game for once? Now, I said on Monday's show, if Baker Mayfield puts up really good numbers without his top three receivers against the Lions and the Bucs win, Vegas, you're going to have to make a change some point, somehow, sooner than later. Mayfield should be the favorite over Mahomes if you're asking me. And I'm not saying this because I hate the Chiefs bandwagon sometimes. I'm not saying that. But if you're asking me who's played well of the eye test, Mayfield's been more of the MVP to his team and has better signature wins than Mahomes does. Oh, well, Rich, Mahomes and company beat the Lions. That was your first big win. How many has Baker Mayfield had through 6 weeks? He's had 2 big ones on the road where he came back and won. Okay, and then the loss was to the Eagles. Mahomes is 2. How does a guy with 1 loss have lower odds to an MVP than a guy with 2 losses? Oh, because the media wants the Mahomes narrative and he can do no wrong by them. That's right. I wanted to take the Lions, but I'm a little scared of these defensive injuries that I'm seeing. And honestly, I thought the Packers were going to win the North. I still believe they are. But I'm a little concerned with these injuries on defense. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, I am taking the upset, and I have the balls to do it. I am taking Tampa to beat Detroit. And I got them 30-23. Bucs just cover the over. They win by a touchdown. So give me the 5.5 with Tampa. I like the Bucs to beat the Lions in Detroit. And if you remember last year, Bucs won in Detroit week 2. Different team, I get it. But I like the Bucs 30-23. Baker Mayfield only enhances his MVP resume and should be the favorite over Mahomes. Vegas, you better make that change sooner than later. Bucs beat the Lions 30-23. Texans travel to Seattle to take on the Seahawks. Seahawks are 3-point favorites. Over and unders listed at 41.5. I kind of am leaning the under in this game, and I'll tell you why. Sam Darnold is a good quarterback on some nights, some days. when he plays a good defense, I don't think he's really the greatest. Now, mind you, the Texans are a really good pass defense. And the way I see this game playing out is they're going to take away Jackson Smith and Jigba, who might be added to the first-team All-Pro list of receivers on the Rich Sale All-Pro team. Getting very close. Derek Stingley is going to be against him, and that's going to be a good best receiver, best corner matchup. Fun to watch throughout the entirety of this game if you Night Owls love staying up and watch football. I'm a little curious to see this split back thing in Seattle that's going on that I'm hearing. I almost traded for Kenneth Walker. I did not because I was like, can't trust him. And the numbers are going down and the points are going down. Therefore, red flags, and everybody I've been following says don't do the trade. I didn't do it. So, I kept Jamison Williams. I need him to produce. Kenneth Walker, I don't trust you till I see numbers go up. Now, Stroud, that offensive line's bad. Seattle, can they generate a pass rush on C.J. Stroud? That's what I'm wondering. And I think Seattle, big win on the road. Can they put it together for 2 in a row? That's what I'm wondering. And I think Seattle can. I think they'll frustrate C.J. Stroud. I think they'll get some takeaways on him. Texans are going to be struggling to move the football. I like Seattle to win 17-13 over the Texans. And I bet the under in this game, if I'm being honest with you, because both of these defenses are good. And I just think that Sam Darnold, he'll play okay, but I need to know, Seattle, who's going to be your bell cow in this game? Split backs are sometimes good, but the Texans, you can run on them a little bit, but you're going to need to establish that RB1 situation. Seattle wins 17-13 in a low-scoring game. Now, I'm going to stay in the NFL because I want to go over Survivor pick first, then we'll go into the little bit of trade deadline talks, and then I'm going to go rapid fire with college football because I want to get to that last. So, we're going to go with, surviving on the SS Saile. Now, we had a little bit of a sweat with the Packers last week. We did. Now, I'm going to go over my picks that I've already done because I'm getting them out of the way. They're not my pick this week, but they might be for other people's choices. My tier 2 choices. My top tier 2 would be New England. If you have not used New England already, I've used them in an earlier week. I would like New England. However, I would not blame you if you don't want to use the Patriots because they have a good schedule going forward. You can get them with the Jets. You can get them with Miami late. You can get them next week when they play the Browns. You can get them in some games. Okay? I would say this is one of my favorite games for them if you have not picked them already. I took them earlier. That's why they're lower on my rankings. Carolina's an option if you want to take a chance on the Panthers because you don't see a lot of winnable games for them. I wouldn't fault you. I just don't trust that team yet. But some people like to get some of the bad teams out early. That way they have some good teams left for their late half run, but that's sometimes very tricky to do. I wouldn't blame you if you take the Panthers. I just can't trust them this week. The Bears taking on the Saints. They're rolling. I know you kind of want to take the Bears while they're rolling. Another team I just can't quite trust, but those that want to take that chance on it and get some bad teams out of the way that you're unsure of that can beat some winnable opponents, I don't blame you. I just don't trust them this week. So, Patriots, Panthers, Bears are my tier 2. Now, my top 2 choices, and this is almost neck and neck for me, but I've kind of almost leaning one that I'm picking. And I don't know if one of my Lounge Time fans is going to be happy with this, but we've had a conversation off air, and I think he'll agree with it, with my reasoning. The second pick, and this is possibly number 1 depending on my game time call. I'm going with the Broncos as my second choice. They're not my number 1. I think their defense should give Jackson Dart fits. I think Bo Nix will bounce back. Sean Payton, this is a game that I expect them to win. The only reason I do not have them number 1 is for what I've said earlier. David did not look good on offense in London against the Jets. Eagles had them dominated through 3 quarters, and then it kind of heated up in the 4th. And then I looked at they lost 2 close games, and yes, they beat the Titans, bad team, and I'm drawing a blank on who the other team they beat in week 4. And give me a second, it'll occur. Jeopardy music's playing in my head right now. The Bengals, Monday night. So they beat up on bad teams. In theory, I would pick the Broncos. I was feeling confident about this pick a while ago for when I did take Denver. But Jackson Dart's playing good, and this is what scares me. And I do like Denver in one game maybe, but that's a sweat a little bit because it's a division rivalry game. I won't tell you which one it is. I think those that know the schedule know exactly who it is. And I would take Denver if I didn't feel good about Jackson Dart. But after he's looked good, he's beat 2 playoff teams in 2 of his first 3 starts. A little weary about that, okay? I want to take Denver, but there's a better pick that I'm looking to just survive in advance. And I'm kind of leaning this way because I have no choice. Denver might be my game time pick, but right now there's one team that I think might be the popular pick, and I think it's who I'm going to end up going with. The best survivor pick this week, if I'm being non-biased, is the Kansas City Chiefs against the Raiders. It's the Chiefs. Because, why do you ask, ladies and gentlemen? Well, they're in Arrowhead. Vegas sucks. They beat the Titans. And the Titans are not good. They just fired their coach. And they beat New England on week 1 where they did not play good in the second half, New England. And then after that, they have problems on the O-line. Spags will exploit that with the defense. They can't run the ball well. I know they've been getting Gentee involved better. Bowers is banged up. Jacoby Myers, they're trying to trade behind closed doors. That defense, I've told you since Jump Street, ladies and gentlemen, I've never been a fan of this defense. Not just this year, in previous years. In all my lounge time years, I've never liked the Raiders defense because they don't address the key needs they have to do. And I just think as great of a coach Pete Carroll is, I do not love this matchup. Rashee Rice is coming back. They're going to be motivated to play for him. The bandwagon's confidence meter is at an all-time unbearable high. Worthy, Rice, they're trying to get a run game going. Kelsey, their offense now has gained some major confidence. And the Raiders are a team that Reed and Mahomes usually dominate pretty well. It's very hard to talk me out of this. I got the Chiefs as my survivor pick right now that I would lean. And this is tough because I wouldn't blame some of you that go Denver. I might switch my mind up, although usually when that happens, bad things happen. So I'm going to go Chiefs, Denver, 1A, 1B. Probably lean the Chiefs 1, Broncos 2 for my survivor pick. And then my other 3 are like 3 to 5. You can arrange the order depending on who you've used, who you haven't used. If you have used Denver, I would take the Chiefs. If you have not used the Chiefs, they would be my top pick. Because some of the games they have coming up, they could win, but they're not solid locks. This is one I feel like that's a solid lock they win, and I think they beat the Raiders. Let me go briefly into the trade deadline talks I've been hearing recently, because I think we're going to have a busy trade deadline. November 4th at 4 p.m. is the trade deadline. We will have a reaction show after the trade deadline is passed, because I'm going to go over a bunch of deals if they happen. Because I want to give you guys the best viewership content possible. So, the Patriots, my New England Patriots, are looking into running back and edge rusher. Although, Chris Olave has been linked to the Bills, Steelers, and the Patriots, notably, as of a few hours ago. Don't get me wrong, guys. I would like Chris Olave. He's very good. Young player, low salary as far as like cap space. We have a ton. Concussion history worries me. Now, Rashid Shaheed, I've heard, be available in talks. I've heard that Jacoby Myers has been linked because of the former New England connection. Please don't sign him. He cost us a playoff spot. Did you not see what happened in 22? Do not make me use the "you fucked it up" Angry Joe video if we sign Jacoby Myers. Please don't. Please don't. I would much rather have Chris Olave. I would much rather have A.J. Brown. I doubt Miami tried Jalen Waddle to us, which I've heard his name be linked in talks. I've heard Jerry Jeudy's name be linked in talks. Just not to New England, okay? I just don't want the Patriots to get Jacoby Myers. Please, for my own good sanity, do not trade for Jacoby Myers. Please don't. We already have enough of number 2s. We need a number 1. We need a number 1 where the defense goes, shit, we got to worry about him. Miami, I said about the fire sale a little while ago, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Jalen Waddle are being discussed by teams that are trying to poke interest with them. And then Devon Achane, the Seahawks want for Tariq Woolen, but doubt that happens. That was a rumor that I heard as of an hour ago. But the 3 Dolphins names, keep an eye on those names. I would like Jalen Phillips. I don't think that New England would get them from Miami because Miami, why would they trade with a division rival? The Jets, Breece Hall's name has been up in talks lately. Chiefs, Chargers, I know have been linked notably, and I'm trying to think who the other one is, and I think it's the Steelers. And I'm trying to go through my thing. I know it's Chiefs and Chargers definitely looking at a running back. I know that definitively. I'm just trying to think, and I know that maybe was it the Commanders? I don't know. But I know Chiefs, Chargers definitely eyeing Breece Hall for a fact. I said Bills are looking into Chris Olave. I have heard the Giants are looking at a wide receiver too. Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Jacoby Myers has been linked. That would be a good number 2 piece for the Giants because they need to build around Jackson Dart. They think he's the guy. Well, this is a move you make. I think if they beat Denver, they're going to be pushing their chips all in for a receiver too. If they lose, I think they probably might try to they might be trying to buy low. I have heard, though, the Bengals are not looking to move Trey Hendrickson. I am kind of shocked because where do you think you're going with this team? You have no cap space to afford him with Chase, Burrow, Higgins. It makes no sense. You might as well get something for him rather than not get anything for him. Other than those names, I've heard pass rushers like Arden Key, Kayvon Thibodeau, but no real major movement there. Okay? But again, I say this because, again, someone that's a Patriots fan that's been expecting this team to get a number 1 receiver, they never do, and it's like the Miami Heat when it comes to a superstar. They never end up landing one. Okay? So take that with a grain of salt. But I'm telling you guys right now, we should be expecting some moves to be happening because the NFL, there are teams that are not far off behind from being outside the playoff picture or trying to make a move. And I think that some teams that are trying to buy and get a move ahead so that they can have a strong end to the season will make those moves. So that is the update on the NFL trade deadline. Now, I'm going to go rapid fire with college football because I've got a few games I like. I got a few plays I like. And I wrote these down. So I'm going to go rapid fire quickly. USC taking on Notre Dame in Notre Dame. USC beat Michigan last week. Did not expect that, but big win for the Trojans and their playoff hopes. Notre Dame has been rolling since starting off 0-2. This would be a good win for their playoff resume to see if they're fully back. Marcus Freeman, Lincoln Riley, good coaches. Notre Dame freshman quarterback, USC. They're my college football 26 dynasty team. So I got a little soft spot for them, a little bit. But, non-biasedly picking the game, I got Notre Dame winning. They could score, so can USC. Can they run the ball between Price and Love? I think they will be able to. I think Notre Dame, CJ Carr is getting slowly better as the season is progressing. And I think that USC, Notre Dame's got some dudes that can bully them up front. Question is, can they impact the game that much? Now, USC's got really good 1-2 punch at receiver between Mekhi Lemon and Jacoby Lane, which is going to be a fun thing to watch. There's some good young players in this draft that I think you're going to see out of both of these teams. Leonard Moore, the great corner from Notre Dame, he's going to be awesome to watch. Really good corner. I like Notre Dame 34-27. I think both teams will score. I just think C.J. Carr will make another drive that will score in points, and I think that defense will get to Maiyava a little bit and beat him. So I got 34-27 Notre Dame over USC. Alabama hosts Tennessee, and Tennessee has won the last 2 meetings. I will tell you this is another one of my favorite plays of the weekend. Over Alabama, Tennessee, I got, 15.5? A little high, but I do think they both score. I do. Tennessee's got no defense. Josh Heupel does not believe in defense, it sounds like. Alabama, they won in Mizzou. Good win. Missouri was able to score points on them. I think Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, they're going to score. Bama will score too. Ty Simpson, boy, he's moving up first-round mock draft boards. I will tell you that right now. I can almost bank on it because that guy, he is crazy accurate, and I'm like, most of these throws should be picked by most quarterbacks. Alabama wins, and the over hits, 38-34. I just trust Ty Simpson to make more plays than Joey Aguilar to win a game. Georgia hosts Ole Miss. I called it last week with Ole Miss, trap game. Washington State, they didn't look great. Georgia beat Auburn the way I thought they would. Now, big test for Trinidad Chambliss, the Ole Miss transfer quarterback that they got. Well, Ole Miss, that's Ole Miss's quarterback. Okay, Georgia still has Gunnar Stockton to clear up confusion. I like Georgia to win this game. Remember, Ole Miss won last year in Ole Miss. Georgia hasn't forgot that. Georgia, Gunnar Stockton, he's got some big wins. Yes, Trinidad Chambliss for Ole Miss beat LSU. But they've won close. I don't know if Lane Kiffin can do it 2 years in a row beating Georgia. If he can, Georgia might be on the bubble as a playoff team. They'll probably make it, but they'll be lower than people think. I've got Georgia winning 24-17 on Ole Miss. I think that the Bulldogs make a couple stops on Ole Miss, and they stop them, and Lane Kiffin's team suffers its first loss. Georgia gets a big win. They move up the polls, 24-17 on Ole Miss. LSU travels to Vanderbilt to take on the Commodores, and Vandy's 1.5-point favorites. I will say this, though. LSU looking ahead at A&M next week in A&M. Likely LSU has not looked great, but this has to be a bounce-back game for LSU. Vandy, in the game I watched them against Alabama, they played pretty good. Diego Pavia, he might be a mid to late round pick, but he's a good quarterback. He'll make plays, and don't forget he's got some signature wins, particularly against Bama last year. LSU has a good defense, but they didn't look good against Ole Miss, and I think that, yes, they beat South Carolina, but LSU has got to get a win that they could boost some confidence with, and their schedule's going to only get tougher, so Brian Kelly needs to win this game. Vandy's getting better. They'll hang tough. I don't think they win. 27-24, LSU beats Vanderbilt. Now, Miami and Louisville tomorrow. Louisville travels to Miami to take on the Hurricanes. 14.5-point favorites for the Hurricanes. Oof, a lot of wood. I think Miami wins, just not by 14. I wouldn't take the points with Louisville. I'm just saying that I think it's way too high. I think Miami wins 30-20 on Louisville. I think that they will get right. And off the bye, they are number 2, number 3 in the country. No, number 2. They'll win. Bounce back. They'll be good off the bye week. 30-20. Miami offense too much for the Louisville defense. That's why I got Miami winning 30-20. The Holy War in Utah. The Utah Utes taking on the BYU Cougars. Utah's favorite in BYU. I did not expect this. But I will say this. I don't know why I think BYU is a little fraudulent. I do. I think Utah, their only loss is to Texas Tech. And that's not a bad loss because Texas Tech is a damn good team. To me, they should be getting talked about more. You see that defense? They got some players down there defensively. I trust Kyle Whittingham to get this game. BYU comes off a little fraudulent to me. I like Utah 23-21 on BYU. Kyle Whittingham gets a big win, and I think they're still fighting in the Big 12, and don't rule that team out. They are a good, well-coached team. Utah wins 23-21. All right, so I'm going to go over my guarantees for college football real quickly. I like South Carolina 5.5, getting the 5.5 as home dogs to Oklahoma. John Mateer did not look healthy last week at all against Texas. Oklahoma is not as good as everybody thinks they are. Schedule's going to get tougher. South Carolina played LSU tough. Give me the Gamecocks, 5.5 points. South Carolina wins over Oklahoma, and I am expecting them to cover as home dogs. Arkansas getting 7.5 against Texas A&M at home. So, Arkansas's home to Texas A&M. What did I say last week? Again, with Ole Miss at Washington State. Take the points of Wazoo because Ole Miss was looking ahead to Georgia. LSU looking ahead to A&M. That's a lower spread. A&M looking ahead to LSU, getting by Arkansas, who just fired Sam Pittman not too long ago. Arkansas played Tennessee tough. Marcel Reed has looked okay in moments. I like Arkansas getting 8.5 at home. Another home dog. I'm not saying they're going to win. Take the other home dogs too. So we're going back-to-back home dogs with South Carolina. I have them winning over Oklahoma in an upset. And I got Arkansas getting the 8.5. Not saying they're going to beat Texas A&M, but A&M looking a little bit past them for LSU. Now, Mississippi State getting 9.5 in Florida. Now, people are like, Rich, what are you doing? Florida's 9.5. Mississippi State sucks. No, not so fast. Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby has not won a single game in the SEC yet. Florida is ready to fire Billy Napier. They want him gone. Okay? So what does that tell me? Florida looks okay. They finally came back down to earth when they played A&M. Okay? But I think Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby's group, they have good players. 9.5 for the Gators when they haven't really been great. Jeff Lebby needs a win in the SEC. I think he gets that because Florida's waiting to get rid of Billy Napier. I think this is a game where I'm like, you know what? If Florida's willing to get rid of Billy Napier, Vegas should kind of have some money be going on Mississippi State. Give me the 9.5 with Mississippi State. I'm taking him. Jeff Lebby gets his first win in the SEC. I like both of those components to be in my favor. Give me the Cowbells, Mississippi State Bulldogs beat and upset the Florida Gators. 9.5 points. Penn State travels to Iowa to take on the Hawkeyes. Now, Penn State just fired James Franklin. Iowa's only 3-point favorite. Why? Iowa played a good Indiana team tough in Iowa. And I even told you guys, take the 8.5 on Iowa because Kirk Ferentz is a defensive mind that will slow Indiana down. And Indiana came off a big win where they dismantled Illinois. And they had, look at Oregon ahead in 2 weeks at that time. It hit. Give me Iowa to beat Penn State. Quarterback Drew Allar's done for the year. Franklin's fired. How is this 3 points? How? Iowa guarantee beats Penn State. Take Iowa on the money line. Now, I said over 15.5 Tennessee, Alabama. One of my favorite plays of the weekend. Take the over. Both teams will score. Tennessee, Josh Heupel, don't believe in defense. Take the over. Okay, now 2 small plays I like. All right. Washington. A lot of their fans have been complaining. Why are we not ranked top 25? Our only loss is to number 1 team in the country. We played them tough. Yeah. Michigan lost to Oklahoma, and they lost to USC. Both on the road. Games in Michigan, but Washington, they got a chip on their shoulder, man. They believe they're a good team. Jamal Williams is a very good young quarterback. They've had almost a week to get ready for this game. I didn't like what I saw out of Michigan lately. I did not. And I'm going with the Huskies. Give me the 6. I'm not saying they're going to beat Michigan. But Washington's not a bad team. They could pull an upset here. Sneaky game. I think Washington wins. Give me the 6 with the Huskies. Possible upset on the Wolverines. Now, another game tomorrow night. This is Nebraska traveling to Minnesota. Nebraska 7.5 in Minnesota. But I'm saying to myself, Minnesota isn't that bad. They're good. They're all right, but they're not that bad. Nebraska 7.5. I know they're improving, but that much? I like Matt Rule. That's a lot of points on the road. PJ Fleck's a good coach in Minnesota. Give me the 7.5 with the Golden Gophers. Not saying they're going to win. They're going to cover the 7.5. Minnesota covers the 7.5 as home dogs against Nebraska. A little too much wood to lay with Nebraska on the road. I think they keep it close tomorrow, but Nebraska wins close. So those are my college football guarantees. We gave you NFL Survivor picks. We gave you some trade deadline scoop that we heard, and those are our NFL Week 7 picks. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification bell. We cannot grow this channel without you guys. It'll help you guys get all the latest content for the NFL season. I love giving you guys content. I hope you guys love me giving you content. You guys got to share the wealth just as much. You got to help us grow. Can't just be me doing all the heavy lifting. All right? You can also follow us at Rumble. I am going to post the episode from Monday up later today, and then I'm going to see if I can get this one up right after. I just want to make sure something works real quick, and then we'll be fine. All right? But you can follow us on Rumble, and then you can follow me at LoungeTimePod on X. I will answer a question if you tweet it at me on the show. I promise I will. Trust me, I will answer. But make sure you guys can, so that way you guys can follow all the latest updates we will have. We're approaching halfway through the season. We've got a lot to cover. We will have guests. We will have a lot of topics to go over, and we're just getting started. All right, we're just getting started. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys potentially Sunday. We might have a special guest in studio, and if I do see you Sunday, great. If not, you'll see me Monday after the games, and I'll see you guys early part of next week. Enjoy your college football and NFL Sunday, everybody.